What's up, plant lovers? Devin is here, and today I want to talk about some of my favorite shade-loving perennials in my Zone 6B garden here in Chester County, Pennsylvania, on the eastern part of Pennsylvania. Here in my garden, I have about 3 acres and lots of mature tulip trees, beech trees, and a few oaks. And so I have lots of wonderful shade. You know, when I first moved here, I thought, I wish I had more sun. You know, you can grow so many cool, colorful flowering plants in the sun gardens. But as I've continued to garden here more and more, I found that there are some amazing plants that look gorgeous in the shade, providing you wonderful color throughout different seasons. And in this video, I want to highlight 5 of my favorite ones that I have growing in my garden right now. So the first one, of course, would be Heuchera, or the coral bells. Now I'm growing Heuchera villosa hybrids, which are the hybrids that are a little bit more heat resistant, heat tolerant. We do get pretty hot here in eastern Pennsylvania in the summertime. I'm filming here towards the end of May, and these beautiful plants are semi-evergreen in my garden, so they continue to provide a little bit of winter interest. But then in the springtime, I simply just chop them back, and I have a short little video you can check out if you want to know what to do for your Heuchera in the springtime. Really easy. And then they simply just refoliate gorgeously, creating these wonderful little mounds of wonderful, colorful foliage. I have some of these caramel, peachy kind of colors, some maroons, some silvers. I have some chartreuse and yellowy foliage ones, and they just continue to look good all year long. You know, there's only a few weeks in the early springtime after I've cut them back that they do look a little bit bare, but they quickly refoliate and they just look absolutely pristine. Depending on where you live, there may be other species that are more pertinent to your region. So just do a little bit of research what sort of Heuchera species are great for your growing region. I know for most of us that do garden in areas with cold winters, these villosa hybrids, which are the typical ones that you'll find at your garden centers and your box stores, will typically be perfect. Now, just next to it would be Hellebores. Now, as it is the middle of May, these are out of bloom, but they still look good. They have this wonderful thick foliage, and these are evergreen in my garden, as they will be evergreen in pretty much every garden. That's one of the reasons why I love them, and they are an absolute stalwart for the shady garden. There is one thing to note. When I first planted them, I had them in a little bit too much sun, and they would wilt pretty much every day. So I did have to move them so that they don't receive any direct sunlight. They're just simply in this bright area, sheltered by this gorgeous Japanese maple tree. But in the early springtime, I also do like to shear these back, allow them to refoliate, provide some new fresh foliage, and they grow absolutely stunningly fast. They have those gorgeous nodding flowers that are so iconic of the Hellebores. And the fact that they are evergreen means they do look beautiful in the middle of winter time. You have the snow coming down and they still look perfect. Because they are evergreen, that is one of the reasons why they are a little bit more pricey at your garden center. So you do have to definitely invest some cash into your Hellebores, but it's absolutely worth it. In terms of the species, I think there's around 20 different Hellebore species, but you know, with modern gardening, most of the ones available are hybrids between interspecies hybrids. Those typically tend to be great performers, and you can find them in all different sorts of shades of flowers, from maroons and pinks, yellowy whites, ivories, colors like that. A fantastic plant to add to your shady garden would definitely be the Hellebores. Well, this plant is what inspired me to create this video, and I simply missed its flowers by 1 day. Yesterday it was in full bloom, and today it dropped all the flowers overnight. We had a little bit of a cool weather, but they had been in bloom for about 2 weeks. What is this plant? This is Aquilegia, a Columbine. Now, this is also a hybrid Columbine, I think from the Songbird series, and as you can see, it's a lovely red flowered variety. Now, I planted these 2 full years ago. The first year, I thought they had died. They disappeared. They really didn't do anything. Last year, it was a tiny little plant. It produced like one flower, and I was like, oh wow, it's still here. And then this year, it has absolutely been stunning me with its beautiful blooms, and is totally filling out. So I hope that over the next couple years, it even produces a little bit more growth. It gets a little bit thicker, a little bit denser. And I have this under the shade of my dawn redwood tree. And so this does not get any direct sun. It's totally shaded all day long. Wonderful sort of like woodland. This definitely has a beautiful woodland energy. So it's great to plant with things like hostas and ferns, of course. And it has just the most intricate, lovely compound flowers that just look phenomenal. There's nothing else like them. And they are a beloved flower for pollinators as well. So it's also a great component for a gardener looking to add some pollinator favorites to the mix. Now, one kind of plant that every gardener should be trying to add more and more to the mix would be ground covers. Ground covers act like a living mulch. They help retain moisture in the soil. They also help to keep weeds at bay, and it's a lot easier to grow ground cover plants than to redo the mulch every single year. I'm just finishing up doing my mulching for the year with this with these arborist wood chips. This has taken me hours and hours and hours. I'd rather just enjoy beauty of ground covers like this Lamium. Now I'm growing Lamium maculatum. You can see it has wonderful silvery foliage, and I have a purple flowered variety as well as a pink flower variety behind me, and I have them growing with my Ito peonies. It creates a wonderful energy in the garden with its bright, shiny foliage. Super low key, super low maintenance plant. You know, it does have its peak seasons in the spring and fall, and in the summertime I will actually, maybe in about 2 weeks, I will shear this back all the way and allow it to regenerate new fresh foliage for the fall time, because after they're done flowering, they do get a little bit long in the tooth, but that's okay because, you know, in the summertime, I will have other perennials starting to be the showcases of the seasons. And this wonderful plant that's covering around 3 solid feet was started by like a 6-inch pot. So it definitely has the ability to spread nicely without ever being invasive. Lamium maculatum is a wonderful ground cover for the shadier areas. And last but not least would be Digitalis, or the foxglove. I'm growing the Foxy series Digitalis, and I just planted these last year, so it's still kind of a little bit of a baby clump growing right here. But my uncle, who lives just, you know, down the street, sent me a video of his growing, and they have just naturalized beautifully. So if you're looking for a shade-loving plant that produces beautiful flowers and will naturalize nicely, foxgloves are a great choice. Yes, do note that if you do have animals that tend to eat your plants, this is one that you want to make sure that they do not eat. However, foxglove is one of the classic cottage garden flowers that you would find in pretty much any cottage garden throughout the United Kingdom, because they have these just beautiful flowers that are, they're also called fairy gloves because the flowers themselves look like they could be the gloves of fairies. And they're also wonderful for the pollinators, because the pollinators like to just stick their little faces right up into those flowers, take all the pollen, and continue. So, however, it should be noted that many foxgloves are noted as biennials, which means their life cycle is done after 2 seasons. The Foxy series is denoted as a perennial foxglove that will continue year after year, particularly because they will naturalize by setting seed at the end of the season. So that is something to take note of, that if you don't choose the right variety, they may not act as a perennial in your garden. And with that, now you've had a look at 5 wonderful perennial plants that will add color, interest, foliage, loveliness to your shady gardens. Do you have any other shade-loving plants that you absolutely love and adore? Make sure to leave them in the comment section below. We're a growing community looking to expand our horizons and grow as a community that loves Mother Nature together. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. We're bringing new plant-related content every single week. Anyways, thank you guys for joining me here on Plant Vibrations. I'll catch you soon. Ciao.